Hi, the pmcares Relief Fund has released its 16-page trust deed, and frankly speaking, there's a lot to unpack. I just want to refresh your memory that this fund and the trust deed came into existence on the 27th of March 2020. Now, the trust deed says the trust is neither intended to be nor is in fact owned, controlled, or substantially financed by any government or any instrumentality of the government, unquote. But we already knew that, right? Because RTI after RTI has come back empty because pmcares is not a public authority. Specifically, the reply often is pmcares is not funded by the government. It is administered by private individuals as trustees, and so RTIs aren't valid in its case. This would be sound logic if not for the many contradictions which frankly aren't very hard to spot. From the ads to the acronym to the website domain, pmcares, everything suggests the fund has the patronage of the government. The Prime Minister is the ex officio chairman of the fund. Minister of Defence, Home Affairs and Finance are ex officio trustees. Ex officio means by virtue of the office. The fund also has continuity written into it. It will outlive the ruling party and will still be there at the discretion of the next Prime Minister. But the trust deed alleviates any direct responsibility on these people. It actually says that the composition of the board, that is, that it has holders of public office, but that is only for administrative convenience and not governmental control. Now, governance and public office need more than just symbols and good intentions, right? You'd agree. Sample this. The trust deed from March 27th essentially says it's a private entity. If that's so, then on March 28th, the very next day, a memorandum, released by the government makes pmcare eligible for CSR donations. 2 months later, in May, the Corporate Affairs Ministry adds the pmcares fund to the Companies Act retrospectively from 28th March. For context, here's what the Companies Act says. It says CSR donations can only go to the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund or any other fund set up by central or state governments. So what is the pmcares fund? Is it a government fund that is somehow immune to RTIs, or is it a private entity that is somehow eligible for CSR donations? It can't be both those things, right? I also, in this video, want to touch on the money that's sitting inside pmcares. We don't really know how much we have. Journalists have spent some time adding up numbers that have been announced in scattered press releases or in announcements by corporates and Bollywood bigwigs. And based on this, we have some assessment that in the first week, pmcares got at least 6,500 crores as contributions. There has been a recent analysis that's been done by India Spend, and it estimates that at least 9,600 crores has been collected so far. Of this, around 4,300 crores was donated by public servants, PSU staff in salaries and CSR contributions. The forces, Navy, Army and Air Force have also contributed about 203 crores from their salaries. We must look at this. The default option for many in the public sector was that their salaries will be cut. So if someone wanted to break rank and say that they do not want to donate, they had to give it in writing to their supervisor. Obviously, everyone donated. There's also a good chance that we'll never really know who is contributing and how much. That's because of another clause in the trust deed, and it says, and I'm quoting again, that the trust shall fully respect and will not allow any invasion of the privacy of the contributors by divulging their names, addresses, and details regarding their contributions to anyone except, of course, to the tax authorities. This is the same ground on which pmcares is also exempted from a CAG audit. The government says that since individuals and organizations are donating to pmcares, it's not really government money, so it has no right to audit a charitable organization, so to speak. One thing to add here is that the PMNRF, the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund, is also not audited by the CAG, but it makes public its income and expenditure reports, and the last one came for FY 2019. Let's do a quick recap. So we don't know if pmcares is a private or a government fund. Right now it's getting the best of both worlds. We don't know how much money has been collected over the last 10 months, ostensibly for COVID-19 relief, and who really gave that money. We don't really know where that money is going either. In fact, the only announcement that has been made till date about the usage of the funds is the allocation of 3,100 crores for COVID-19 relief work. There's another clause in the trust that makes it almost impossible for us to guess where all the money could be spent. That's because it empowers trustees to invest trust property, that is any funds and any other assets, wherever they want to, as long as it's legal and they think it's proper. Should something happen to those investments, those donations, I quote the trust deed again, trustees will not be responsible to anyone for any loss or any diminution arising from the said investments or transfers. That sounds like a pretty rosy deal, right? That's all I could pack in on this video. If you've been watching, I'm Anubha Bhonsle. This is Newsworthy. We do news worthy of your time and attention. And of course, it's unbossed, unfiltered, and unbiased. I want you to share this work in your groups and family and subscribe to the channel or the handle you're watching this video on. From our entire team, goodbye. I'll see you again soon.